Welcome everyone to this Geminids guided meditation. I'm so sorry for the technical issue. For those that will get this message as an email, I really do apologize. We're going to make sure everyone that did register for the event, and the Geminids meteor shower will still be running for the span of this week as well. So hopefully you can still find value in it. I am very pleased to introduce Mark Westmackett, astrophysicist that moved over into the world of wellness through mindfulness. And he's really spent a lot of time building this authentic connection of allowing people to engage with the night sky, engage with the stars, and use that as the vehicle to explore their inner self. Thank you, Mark. I'll hand over to you.
Thanks, Dominic. Thank you. Yeah, and thanks very much for joining, and for bearing with us with any kind of technical issue and replaying this. Um, Ideally, we want to be somewhere outside with a view of the sky, and it really doesn't actually matter whether it's clear or not clear. Ideally clear, and maybe you've got a chance to replay this on an evening that is clear. But inevitably, the sky conditions change, from this moment to the next. So we're ideally outside with some kind of wide open view of the night sky. Now, that might not be entirely ideal for you. You might have some trees or buildings around. You might have a little window of view of the sky. That's also fine. You might be out on a patio or a veranda or balcony or something like that, and you might have just a restricted view in just one direction. That's also fine. If you're outside and if you've got a view of the sky, that's great. Mm. But if it does cloud up, or if it is a bit cloudy for you right now, then know that there are lots and lots of benefits from doing this kind of practice, even if it is a bit cloudy. So please stay with it. You never know what the sky is going to change into and what this might bring in your experience. So just kind of stay with it and see what happens. So, yeah, we're here with the intention of spotting a shooting star, or perhaps many shooting stars. And it is, I think, one of the most magical experiences that we can have with our night sky. We're looking, and boom, suddenly there it is, and there it's gone. And I think that real fleeting moment of, wow, there it is, it really adds something very special. So, because it's so fleeting and because it's in the dark, it means that it's very, very difficult, almost impossible, really, to record it, to video it, to take a photograph of it. And that's really not what we're aiming at all in this session tonight. So please just put aside any sense of wanting to record this, of wanting to take a photograph of it, of telling your friends about it, because it's going to be something which is yours and yours only. It's a personal experience of being with the night sky and seeing a shooting star if you see one. So that means we can just immerse ourselves in now and not have to worry about anything else. No technology needed. In fact, technology completely gets in the way of our experience. And what we're going to be doing here is really a practice of wide-eyed attention and patience, putting yourself in the path of opportunity. And we may or may not see anything. So all the expectations can just move to the side. Let's just see what happens. It might not be a shooting star that surprises you the most. Who knows? So we're here lying down, ideally, maybe sitting down, comfortable, warm. And if you're watching this on a recording, then the ideal is if you need to, oh, it's a bit chilly actually, I'm going to get another blanket. Just pause the recording, get another blanket. Pause the recording, get another cup of tea or whatever you need. And once you're settled, once you feel comfortable, then I would invite you to just look around and check that the space you're in is safe. Now, I know that's a silly thing to say. Most likely you're in your own space, you're at home, you're in your own garden or in the balcony or something, and it's safe. Of course it is. But there's something about being out in the dark that puts your body just a little bit on edge. Your body's just a little bit more like looking around, checking. It's very subconscious, instinctual level. So just reassure your body that it's okay. This space is okay, that you're safe. Because when the body feels reassured, then it can feel like can settle just a little bit more. And I'm going to invite you next to close your eyes. And we'll do a little bit with the eyes closed because it takes some time for your eyes to adjust fully to the dark. So we might as well close the eyes and focus our attention inwards. So let's close the eyes. And now bringing your attention fully inside your body. What do you notice inside? How do things feel? Do you feel heavy or light? Are you generally warm or cool? Do you notice any aches or pains or any areas of discomfort? Can you notice your breath? Bringing an awareness to your head, noticing your face, your eyes, nose, mouth, noticing your shoulders. Many of us hold tension in the shoulders, so could you allow your shoulders to relax just a little bit more? And then moving your awareness down your arms, elbows, hands, noticing, just noticing, down your back, down your front, chest, belly, and into hips, your legs, just noticing how does it feel in your legs, all the way down, knees to the ankles and the feet. And then becoming aware of the feeling of gravity, of the feeling of the pull downwards, the feeling of the ground underneath your body, the surface of our planet. You're sitting on the surface of our planet Earth. Okay, so now we can allow your eyes to open, giving ourselves a chance for the eyes to adjust to the dark, giving ourselves a chance to come into our body, to begin to settle, quieten, slow down, and begin to pay attention in a kind of wider sense. You know, in our normal life, we pay attention to things, but often it's in a very narrow and focused way. But here, our entire direction is openness. We're going to be opening our senses to this experience. Now, at any point, you might spot a shooting star. You might spot something moving in the night sky. And it's not something we need to shout about. It's not something we need to tell anyone about. It's not something, as I said, we need to take a photograph of. It's just your personal experience. You here with the night sky. And if it's cloudy, then we can notice the movement of the clouds and the changes. So we're going to play a little bit with our attention, particularly our visual attention to begin with. What I'd suggest is to fix your gaze on one spot in the sky. If it's clear, you can just look at a star. And then become aware of your peripheral vision. So becoming aware of what you're looking at in the middle, and then what's around that, and what's around that all the way out to the edge of what you can see. Wide open eyes, wide open attention. You can see the horizon, the buildings, the trees, as well as all the stars and the whole sky, the clouds. And now let's narrow in. So just focus on the center of your vision, what you're looking at, specifically, the middle of what you're looking at. So if you can imagine your attention like a torch beam, you know, one of those old-fashioned torches where you twist the end, you know, and you get a bright, wide open floodlight view, or you get a narrow spotlight view. Yeah, so we're kind of twisting the end of our torch beam to make it spotlight, maybe even like laser beam to the middle of your attention. And then broaden out again. Twist the end of your torch beam so it's more like a floodlight. And what are we doing here? Well, there's actually no physical changes in your body from one to the other. It's just something happening in your mind, in your attention. We go from narrow, just what you're looking at, to broad, the whole sky and the horizon. And you can play with this. Go narrow, broad, narrow, broad. I always think it's one of those marvels of how our mind works. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to describe it any more than I have. We just do it. Our attention can change. So we're going to try and stay in the broad, wide open mode for our time together. You got your eyes just looking at a point in the sky. You don't need to move your eyes around. You can just move your attention or just hold this open attention. Now, if it's clear, it's very tempting to try and identify all the stars and constellations, especially if you have some knowledge of the night sky already. Or even if you don't have much knowledge, you can possibly just find the one or two constellations that you do know. We don't need to do that tonight. There are other nights where we might identify constellations and talk about the stories and get our telescope out and all that kind of stuff. Tonight, not the night. So we're going to put aside seeing stars as patterns, thinking of constellations, putting aside the maps, putting aside any kind of astronomy knowledge you've got about this star and that star and galaxies and whatever else, putting aside also any ideas, to-do lists. Tonight is about something different. It's not about doing or thinking. It's about immersing yourself in the experience of now, of feeling and sensing and appreciating just what is. And every now and again, there might just be a shooting star. And then it's like, wow. And of course, then we can move our eyes. But probably by the time you've moved your eyes to where it was, it's gone. Looking with this wide open, broad attention. That's the best way we're going to catch a shooting star. And if it's not clear, or if the clouds come or change, or there's some kind of, changing in the sky, then we can also let that in. So easy to get frustrated if it does get a bit cloudy. Oh, these damn clouds getting in the way. The clouds have as much right to be there as anything else. The clouds are part of the experience. So we just allow the clouds to come, allow them to be there. If they're lit up by the lights from below, then we can look at and see the shapes and the patterns and colors, see them as they drift across, as they billow and move slowly. So many stargazing evenings that I've led start off disappointing, bit cloudy, but then gaps open up. It can clear up completely. And then also the same thing happens in reverse. It starts off beautifully clear, then clouds come, there are gaps. There's always change. So it's not about wishing or wanting or hoping or expecting. It's just about allowing this moment to be, this night to be as it is. So I'm going to be quiet for a bit as we all just rest back, keeping this open attention, looking, seeing what comes. Now, if you do get distracted, which is pretty inevitable, we end up being caught up into thinking and our mind goes somewhere else, and suddenly we're thinking about some work problem or family or what we're going to cook for dinner tomorrow or whatever. That's also very normal. As soon as you notice, just let it go and come back to this experience, looking, feeling, and listening. remembering that this experience, sitting or lying here looking up, is yours. It's your personal and direct relationship with the sky. What happens and how you experience it is unique to you. And that's special. You don't need to know anything about what a shooting star is, where it comes from, to appreciate the beauty, the magic. We will speak in a bit about what they are and where they come from. But for now, just really being here, not thinking about it, experiencing it. We're doing something here which I think in the past people would have done a lot more. But these days, we just don't do very often. Maybe you do, and I really hope you do, looking at the night sky for a period of time. I really hope you do this very often. I think in the past, people would have lived in a way which allowed them to be much more in touch with the night sky. There was much less light pollution. People didn't have electric lights which you could just turn on and go inside. So when it got dark, there wasn't really much choice but to be in the dark. There wasn't much you could do when it got dark. So lying down, looking up at the stars, why not? And these days, we almost need permission to allow it to do this, give ourselves a time. So this is a really special time right now. We've given ourselves permission. We're sitting here enjoying.
What are you doing then?
When we're looking for shooting stars, it's really showing us about the fleeting nature of life. It can give us a lesson, I suppose, in the futility of wanting, grasping. Same thing with the clouds, right? As much as we want the sky to be different, it isn't. It is the way it is. When a shooting star comes, it's always unexpected, totally unpredictable. And as soon as it's gone, it's gone. As soon as it's come, it's gone. As soon as we look, it's gone. You know, if you're there with a friend, unless they're looking in the same direction of you as you at the same time, you can't say, "Oh, look," because as soon as they've looked, it's gone. So this is kind of like life, right? Life is fleeting, changes quickly. And if we try to grasp on, if we try to bend it to our will, if we want things, expect things, it's going to go differently. All we can do is put ourselves squarely in the path of opportunity, like now, taking this time, getting ourselves comfortable, lying down, looking up. We're putting ourselves in the path of opportunity, looking up with wide eyes. And if it comes, it comes. If we see one, two, three, that's great. If we don't see any, fine. This look for shooting stars shows us how in life, all we can do is really just put ourselves in the path of opportunity. We can't make certain things happen. Wishing certain things going to happen is not going to make them happen. All we can do is just put ourselves in the path of opportunity and then appreciate the opportunities when they come. Appreciate the shooting star when it streaks across the night sky in that moment. So now we've spent some time in this personal and direct experience, your relationship with it, your moment to moment arising. We could add a little bit of knowledge about what we're looking at and let that kind of filter into what you're seeing and experiencing. So this shooting star that we're looking for, these shooting stars, technically they're called meteors, and they're caused by a small little piece of rock or pebble, maybe it's usually around the size of a pebble or stone, hitting the atmosphere and burning up. Because they hit the atmosphere very fast and there's so much friction in the upper atmosphere as the stone passes through it, it causes it to heat up and then it dissolves, it basically vaporizes. And what you can see if you have spotted a shooting star is that trail of vaporization as it heats up and glows very brightly. So we're seeing tiny little pebbles hitting the atmosphere. And the Geminids, this meteor shower that's happening over this period, like peaking around tonight, the Geminids are caused by the tail of an asteroid 3200 Phaeton. This asteroid was discovered in 1983. It happens every year, this time. And it's because the Earth, in its orbit around the sun, we go around the sun once a year. And just at this point, over this few days, the Earth is passing through the debris tail left over from when this asteroid passed through the solar system. So there's a kind of tail of debris which came off the asteroid, and it's all just sitting there in the solar system. And then at this time of the year, the Earth in its orbit is passing through that tail of debris. So it's actually the Earth that's moving, not the little pebbles. This is unique because the Geminids, well, actually, there's two, right? So the Geminids and then the quadrantids, excuse me. The quadrantids is another meteor shower a little bit later in the year. These two originate from asteroids, whereas all the other meteor showers that we see in the year come from comets. But either way, asteroid is a big ball of rock, a comet is a big ball of ice. Both of them leave a kind of dusty tail as they pass through the solar system. And for the same reason, we get the meteor showers. This Geminid meteor shower was first observed in 1862, but it was only in the last, I don't know, 40 years where there were people able to connect this meteor shower with the asteroid 3200 Phaeton. They're called the Geminids because it appears like all the shooting stars are coming from the constellation Gemini. That's the point they're called the radiant, the point in the sky from which the paths of the shooting stars appear to originate. So all the meteor showers are named after the different constellations from which the shooting stars appear to come. Well, that doesn't mean that you only see them in the constellation Gemini. In fact, they can appear everywhere on the whole night sky. And even if Gemini is not above the horizon for you right now, you still see shooting stars. Most often, they're tiny pebbles and they just burn up very quickly with a streak. Sometimes they're a bit bigger, and then you get this big streak across a wider part of the night sky, and it leaves a visible smoke trail, which maybe stay visible for a second or two. Sometimes meteors are much bigger than that, maybe the size of like a boulder or a rock, something like that. And then those, it's unlikely that a Geminid meteor would be that big, but sometimes you get a different kind of meteor, a bit of rock from space coming from somewhere else, and it hits the atmosphere and it doesn't burn up completely. And then a bit of that leftover rock comes all the way down to the surface, hits the surface. We call it a meteorite then. Now, for centuries, scientists and natural philosophers, Aristotle, for example, Isaac Newton, for example, they believed that no small rocks existed in space beyond the moon. It was definitely a belief. And so the idea that meteors, shooting stars, were caused by rocks from space was considered impossible. And a few people proposed that shooting stars came from space, but they were kind of like ridiculed, laughed at, because this was thought of as impossible. And the first um, hypothesis that was taken seriously was by the German physicist Ernst Chladni in 1794. He proposed that meteorites, what landed on us, the surface of our planet, came from outer space. And then there was a big meteorite that crashed in the early 1800s, where there was lots of reports and eyewitness accounts, and they found the meteorite. And then, only then, really, did people believe or understand that meteorites came from outer space. They were rocks that arrived on Earth, that came through the atmosphere, that came from outer space. So it's only been 200 years or so that we've understood that what you can see every now and again on a night like tonight, these shooting stars, they come from outer space. They're little pieces of rock floating around, as I said, like leftovers of the tail of this 3200 Phaeton. So we live in a very special time in the history of humanity. It's only been 200 years that people have understood that shooting stars come from outer space. And it's only been in the last 40 years that people have understood that the shooting stars you see tonight, the Geminids, come from this particular asteroid. And then you can plot the course of the asteroid and understand its orbit and all that kind of stuff. It's only been in the last few decades in all of ours lifetime. And I think we can sometimes take that for granted, that this knowledge is just human knowledge. We know this, of course. No, only very recent. Only our generation can appreciate this. So I'm going to be quiet for a little bit more, give ourselves a real chance to let that kind of understanding, the science, what the Geminids are, meteors, where they come from, be part of your experience of looking and seeing and appreciating. I don't know about you, but when I do spot a shooting star, it doesn't matter how many I've seen, it doesn't matter how many years I've been doing this, there's always a little thrill, something that shivers through my body. Wow. Something about the fleeting, momentary, there it is and there it's gone. And I wonder what that feels like for you. I wonder where you feel that in your body. And I wonder, perhaps after this session is finished, if you would be interested in or willing to describe that thrill, the feeling when you see a shooting star in the YouTube comments for this session. I would love to hear. You don't have to formulate what you're going to say right now, but just allow your experience to come up, to bubble up a bit later when you're sitting on your computer and you just write your experience. And then we can hear from each other about each other's experience, really about the visceral, body felt sensations of what it feels like when you see a shooting star, not about the technology and the science, just your experience. I'd love to hear that. I always get a little sense of gratitude as well that the sky was the way it was and I was able to be outside, have the time and the space and be in that wide open presence of mind and be able to appreciate it. I'm not a, I know, I'm not a slug, you know, just moving around the garden and a shooting star appears probably in its eye, but it doesn't really know what it's looking at and has absolutely no sense. And I suspect that's probably much the same for many other animals. I'm not a rabbit. I'm not a bird who just is part of life. I'm a human, and I know what it means to see a shooting star, and I can really appreciate the beauty. So we're coming to the end of our guided session. And of course, I invite you to stay outside for as long as you like. Stay here. If you feel you're enjoying this evening, if you're not too cold, just carry on watching, experiencing, carry on being with your night sky. The Geminids are on for this next few days, possibly for the whole of the week. And then really on any given night, if it's clear, there's a chance of always seeing a shooting star, even when it's not a meteor shower. It's just that the higher chances are now. So if you want to replay this, maybe tomorrow night, or if you want to get a few friends or send it to a friend to replay this tomorrow night, please just go ahead. The advantage of the video is you can just pause it, go back, listen again. So I really hope you've appreciated and enjoyed being together here, sharing this time, looking up at the night sky, watching for shooting stars. I should just say thanks a huge amount also to Dominic Virtue from the Office of Astronomy for Development and Kelly Blumenthal from the Office of Astronomy for Outreach, who both together came up with the idea and set this all up and have been instrumental in making this happen. My name is Mark Westmackett, and if you're interested in the kind of things that I do, more about this kind of mindful way of stargazing, then please do look me up. If you just Google for my name and mindful stargazing, you'll definitely find me. You can sign up to my newsletter and, look at my stuff, events and in-person online stuff that I do. A year or two ago, in collaboration with the Office of Astronomy for Development, we recorded a series of guided mindful stargazing practices, audio practices, which you can listen to and download for free from the OAD website and also from Spotify. They're on Spotify. So if you just again Google OAD and my name, you'll definitely come up with those. Yeah. So thanks so much for joining in, and I really hope to see you again at another event.
So much, Mark. I really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you for bearing with the technical issues, and for everyone watching this, thank you much for your time. I'll also be sharing a follow-up email with the recording and the link to Mark's website and the Spotify link for those meditations. Thank you so much, Mark. And then you're welcome to stop the recording. And then I'll see you for the later session again about 5 minutes before.
Yeah, we'll see. So do you think the same live stream might work or
Yeah, so at the moment, what we've done is we're now asking people to, just in case we have similar issues with connections timing out and closing streams, you'll see I sent an email saying, please go to the OAD's YouTube channel, then we'll show which event is currently live. So regardless if we have to restart streams, they can always pop into the live event.
great? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you know were there a few were there similar people registered for the Asia and the Europe?
Yeah, there are some overlaps. There are a few that are only for one, but there are, I'd say about 50% is an overlap they booked for both.
50-50 Asia and Europe.
Well, overlap 50%. So
Oh
in
yeah.
total, we've got 90 tickets booked.
Yeah.
I think there's about 40, 35, 40 that is in both sessions.
Yeah. Okay. 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 Great. Great.
Okay,
Oh,
thanks so much, Mark.
let's try again later and hopefully it goes
Yeah,
easy.
thank you.
Okay. See you later.